Hello, I'm Natasha Karamichou, legal advisor solicitor in Greece, and in today's podcast, we will go through the interesting topic of the National Land Registry, κτηματολόγιο. What is exactly a land registry? The National Land Registry is a unified and constantly updated information system which records legal, technical, and other additional information on real estate and rights to it, under the responsibility and guarantee of the state. The Hellenic Land Registry, as a legal entity under public law, is responsible for the publicity of transactions in REM, taking over the overall maintenance of the National Land Registry system, which will gradually absorb all the land registry offices, υποθηκοφυλακία, of the country and merge with them. What does the Land Registry record? All transactions that create or change rights to real estate on a property-by-property basis. It guarantees the legal information it records, as each transaction is only registered after a substantive legality check. It records the geographical description, shape, location, and size of the property. It systematically discloses and records public real estate. It records rights of adverse possession, which, especially in rural areas, is perhaps the most common way of acquiring ownership due to informal transfers. How does the land registration process start in a region? According to a 1995 law, the ministry's decision to declare an area under land registration is posted in the relevant municipal or communal shops and published twice consecutively in two newspapers in the seat of the prefecture if it exists, and in two daily Athenian newspapers and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. In this way, Greek citizens are given the opportunity to describe in a declaration the rights over property they may own in the area under land registration. Greeks living abroad have the right to submit the declaration within 6 months of the last publication of the decision. Therefore, the lack of correct and timely information on the submission of the declaration and the observance of the deadline has forced many Greeks living abroad to deal with procedures of objections to the properties under registration in the land registry and the filing of lawsuits for the recognition of the rights in areas where the land registration has been completed and the rights over properties have been finalized as unknown owner, or in favor of the Greek state, or even in cases where the land records are inaccurate and require correction. What does it mean to have a property registered under unknown owner? Properties of unknown owners are a tricky problem for the government. According to statistics, approximately 400,000 properties are considered to be of unknown ownership. Properties of unknown ownership are defined as properties, for example, lands, apartments, that do not belong to a specific person. Although they appear in the land registry, the property is listed as of an unknown owner. According to the provision of Article 9 of the Law of 1998, such properties are considered to be of unknown ownership and become the property of the state when the first registration becomes final. How does this happen? During the registration process, the details of each property are recorded in as much detail as possible. If a citizen does not declare their properties, then these properties are considered to be of unknown ownership. What happens if a property of unknown ownership is not declared? If, after the deadline for correcting the initial registrations has passed, the owner of the property has not taken an interest in correcting the error, then the property automatically becomes the property of the state. Although the property becomes the property of the state, the owner does not lose his or her rights to the property. Thus, he or she can claim it if he or she submits a correction request. What is the procedure for correcting the initial entries for properties of unknown ownership in the land registry? The application is drafted and submitted by a lawyer to the court of the location of the property. The case is then heard. During the trial, it is examined where the applicant has the rights he or she claims over the property. If this is the case, then the correction of the land registry sheet is ordered. Find out more on our next podcast on the land registry in Greece.